What is happening, you guys? Welcome back to the Let's Go Win podcast. We are here for a Tuesday tune-up where we help you be happy, healthy, wealthy. That's certainly our aim. That's our intention. And we talk a lot about leadership, performance, and mindset. And the gentleman I'm going to have on today, he's jet-setting around the world. He's living all over the place. He's living his best life. So I think we can learn a lot. Michael Darko is the founder and CEO of Farringdon Jets, the world's most security-focused jet charter company. After becoming familiar with the high needs of high and ultra high net worth individuals through his international career of property and offshore wealth management, Michael decided to merge his experience and network with his lifelong passion for aviation to launch Farringdon Jets. A luxury charter jet service fills the need in the market by prioritizing safety and securities for its client, not just in the air, but on the ground too. Michael, I guess I'll start there. Safety being such a key initiative to what you're doing. How did you fall on that? Where were you like, you know what? This is where we're really going to differentiate ourselves from everyone else in this I'm guessing there's some competition here, and it's an amazing niche that you chose.
Yes, definitely. I think there's a few reasons why what led to security. So I was actually living in Colombia at the time of inception of Farringdon Jets and dealing with high net worth individuals and ultra high net worth individuals. Even though it was in a different space, security was always top of their mind. Every conversation we had, whether it was how can we trust you, how can we trust these institutions, where were we meeting, etc., everything was based around security. So it always just made sense to have a security-led focus in regards to private charter, as well as that around the inception of the company. One of my good friends in Mexico, or in Colombia at the time, apologies, runs one of the largest private security firms here in Latin America. And they had a massive need of people requesting private jet charters, but because they were so focused on their specific niche of providing the security in the ground, they never ventured into it themselves. But I knew that there was a need there.
So I'm curious how you landed on aviation, because it's maybe I'll start with that. Do you have your own pilot's license, and how did you land on aviation? Because it's not the world that I would like. I don't know. I would never think of it, but what a cool world to play in, live in, work in, provide service. Like I said, you've lived in the UK and Colombia and Mexico. That kind of lends itself to that, I suppose. But how'd you land on aviation, brother?
Aviation, it's been a very long time that aviation's been on my mind. So ever since as long as I could remember, I've always had this passion for aviation. I'm always going to aviation museums, model airplanes, etc. as a child. So typical nerd in that sense. I had my first pilot's lesson from the RAF because I was part of the Royal Air Force Cadets in the UK. And that either happened, I believe it was at 14 years old, or it may have been 15. So either way, a very young age. So I was always really interested in it. All of the subjects I chose through my education, it was based on becoming a pilot. When I left college, I was looking to earn enough money to go and get my my pilot's license to become an airline pilot. At the time, it was a bit costly, so I had to go out there and get a job and really start saving towards it. And that's when I ended up in Dubai. And just along the way, just being exposed to a lot of people within the industry and other opportunities in the world, I realized that actually my passion for aviation doesn't necessarily need to lead me to become an airline pilot, but perhaps to get involved in some other type of way. So I always knew I wanted to complete my private pilot's license and fly around on my weekends for fun. And then private jet charter finally came down about 8 years down the line, when I sat down and really kind of put together the passion and the network, etc., as you mentioned in the intro.
Well, part of what I love what you're saying there is, look, it was expensive for me to get it, and yet when I think of private chartered, I mean, that's high net worth. Like and so you're living and playing in a world where you didn't necessarily come from that as maybe your background. However, now you're leading this charge. You have a fleet of jets that you're helping people navigate the world in a safe, secure manner in a luxurious way. That's a cool rise, man. I like it. What tell me that the quick and short version of how you went from wealth management into jets. That's kind of a jump there. So it's cool, but I'm curious.
Yes, thank you. I enjoy every day I speak to a client. It's really exposing me to a different world. As I mentioned, as you mentioned correctly, I'm not from that background of super high-end luxury, high net worth individuals, etc. So it kind of became naturally. So when I was looking to fund my studies to get my airline pilot certificate, I was really thinking, okay, so what can I do? I'm still pretty young. I don't have too much real world experience, but I did have weekend and holiday sales jobs. It started off selling double glazing. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but in the UK, we used to sell double glazing back then. And it was just basically for extra insulation, sound and weather insulation for homes. So you'd walk up and down the street and you'd see the homes that had single glazed windows, and you'll knock on the door and you'd have your sales pitch and pitch the actual engineers to come in and sell the double glazing. So that was pretty much the most of my work experience. That plus a bit of retail experience for the holidays, for the busy period. So I went out and thought, okay, what's the biggest thing you could sell? And at the time, I thought of property. So that's how I ended up selling property. And of course, back then in the UK, it was the typical family homes, young couples, etc. So nothing too extravagant. And then when I went to the buy to work in property, it was a completely different ball game. Some of the properties were sight unseen. It was just really investment focused. What's the ROI, capital appreciation? In the area that I was working in, through most of the buy, it's usually cookie cutter style properties where you just needed to know the view, the floor, the price, and then the investor would either buy or not buy. So it was a very investment led market. So that led me to dealing with slightly higher net worth clients. Then from there, I got headhunted into offshore wealth management, which again was a slightly different realm in regards to the type of funds that we're dealing with and the type of clientele. And then that eventually led me to private jet charter. So I slowly had the work up from no experience or exposure at all to the high net worth individual to almost 10 years of that before jumping into Farringdon Jets.
Yeah, I love it. And as a CEO, one of my favorite subjects is leadership,
Yeah.
and I'm passionate about it. And I love asking executives a couple of, what is your leadership philosophy, Michael? I know that's a big question, so I can narrow it down if need be. But if you have an overall philosophy, and then has that been kind of guided through mentors? Have you had, I'm guessing with the various experiences, you've had some great leaders and unfortunately probably some not to follow as well, or at least that's been my experience. So
Yes, definitely. I've had some amazing examples of how to lead and some amazing examples of how not to lead. So definitely picking the best from both worlds. But along the way, definitely, I don't think I would have made it to the point I'm at now if it wasn't for mentorship. One of the mentors that I need to give the most credit to is a gentleman called William Railsback, and he was my mentor in Bogota in Colombia. He at one point was my manager, and since then he's always just been great in giving advice and help along the way, especially at the time when I moved to a new country on the other side of the world where I didn't speak the native language and I wasn't familiar with the culture. He really did help me find my feet. So I've learned a lot from him. But overall, my philosophy with leadership is essentially don't ask anyone to do what you're not willing to do. Really put yourself in their shoes, understand what you're asking for them, and lead by example. If I'm asking people to work hard, which I think every leader wants their team to work hard, show that you can work hard too, work harder than the rest of them. Show also really work with them to develop them. I think it's one thing demanding something from your team, and another thing to really helping them achieve that goal and making sure that your goals as a CEO, whether that's on a personal level or as a company, it really aligns with what that individual, what that team member's personal goals are as well. So if it's, for example, buying a new home or having enough to really help with a new family that they're starting, or if it's a career goal and they want to reach a certain level, really invest in their development or invest in their goals.
I love that. And like you said, your overall philosophy, don't ask anybody to do something you're not willing to, with your
Yeah.
background of really starting and just working and working and working your way up. I'm curious on your mindset, brother, because to go from, again, I didn't know what double glazing is till you started. And I'm like, okay, I kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And then to continue to progress into another step to another step, and it's really a remarkable rise. But again, it's not overnight, right? It sounds like there's a lot of hard work. So I'm really curious as terms of your mindset, if what did you do to really have that entrepreneurial mindset? Was there something specific from development, books? What was it that allowed you to continue to progress all the way up to where you are now? And who knows, man, maybe there's the next level with Farringdon Jets. It's just going to continue to grow. So I'm just curious, mindset wise, what you've really focused on, and how that's allowed you to continue to grow so much.
Yes, you mentioned development there. Self-development is key. I've learned that from my mentors that have all been in positions that I've wanted to be in. I think a good thing about mentorship as well is just seeing others' examples. So I have had mentors who came from a similar background than me and have made it a lot further in life. So it really kind of took that cap off what levels I could achieve, and really seeing how they did it. So really studying new fields, always becoming an expert in your field, always willing to learn and develop, never thinking that you are the best or that you know it all, but keep studying, keep progressing, and keep elevating your circles as well to people that can teach you things and you could teach them things. So I really think that helps me reach the point I'm at now, and hopefully to continue help me reaching new levels as well.
Being that you've been around the world, again, my count has you at least 3 different continents. So I mean, you said the UK, Dubai, Colombia, and now Mexico.
Yeah.
Have you seen a common language in terms of properly treating employees for performance? Because I know culturally it can be so different, right? The way we interact in the States can be so different than how it is in Latin countries as it can be in Asia. So I'm just curious, in your time, because you have that unique background, do you have to just be able to adapt and change, or are there really some cornerstone like principles that apply whether you're in Dubai or in Medellin or in Mexico City?
Yeah. So the cornership principle is really just adjusting to whoever you're speaking to. So I think this really came into play most for me in Dubai because it's a massive melting pot of people from all over the world, and you're dealing with various different nationalities throughout the same day, maybe about the same business matter, but every one of them communicates very differently. So, for example, the amount of rapport you have at the beginning of a meeting is very different. The way people like figures, how much people like to build a personal relationship, or how much people like to focus on building, just going straight to the point, straight to business, straight to the facts. I think it really varies. And yes, you can have generalizations within different cultures, different groups of people, just due to them all having a very similar way of doing business from their home country. But then really, just like it is in the States, Canada, the UK, etc., every single person is different. So you really do have to learn how that person likes to communicate.
What don't people know about the luxury charter jet service industry, where you're like, I wish everybody knew this? What's the secret that some of us that don't fly it often, right? We're used to doing commercial, perhaps, regardless of status there. It's like when you get to there, maybe there's something that we're all missing that you're like, I wish everybody knew this one thing. This is what Farringdon Jets, if you were ever to check it out, this is what you're going to experience. And this is why it's so cool.
Oh, okay. So there's a number of things. I would say definitely for people like yourself, time saving. So it may be obvious to some, less obvious to others, but the ability to just arrive to the airport 15 minutes before your flight, even if it's an international flight, and be able to take off and land in the airport, which is so much closer to your destination. Because what a lot of people don't realize is that commercial airports, or airports that service commercial flights, are just a fraction of the total amount of airports and airfields available to you when you fly privately. So you can land a lot closer to your end destination, whether that's for business or whether that's for leisure, and then again take off from there. So in some cases, some of our clients each trip could be saving about 9 hours on each side. Yeah, it's very valuable.
No, it's remarkable. 9 hours. You start calculating your hourly rate, or think of, let's say it's a couple grand an hour that you're worth. We're talking $18,000 per trip. So instead of looking at like, okay, this trip cost me $1,000, $2,000, and then you look at how much money you saved, that's pretty remarkable.
Exactly.
I'm just curious, open forum, because again, I could go so many different ways with your background. What do you want to make sure to share with the audience today, whether it's entrepreneurial, business, just your life experience that you think, you know what, JM, everybody should know this on your show that's listening, because you have such a unique background. You've experienced so many cool things. What do you want to make sure to share before we start to wrap up?
Yeah, so in regards to what to share, I think it ties into what you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, which is coming from a background where I wasn't exposed to luxury, affluent living, or anything like that, but now working in that field. And as apart from that, just the different levels reached throughout my career, I would definitely like to highlight to everyone listening, especially the younger viewers, the people that are maybe at the beginning of their entrepreneurship journey, to just keep dreaming. Forget the naysayers. If you have a vision, there's definitely a way to achieve it. You may have to go back to studying. You may need to learn some other way, if it's in regards to an apprenticeship, if it's in regards to taking a pay cut to enter a different type of job in order to gain that experience, to gain the connections, and then finally reaching the goal that you have in mind. Never say no.
Love that. Never say no. Just keep dreaming. I got to give you one last phrase that has served me well, and I'm just curious your thoughts on it. I've always said, if you take that blue collar work ethic to the white collar world, it's magic. And I don't know if that makes sense, if that's more of a United States thought, or if that made sense from the UK. But I've always seen, if you take that grind, rise, get in there, work harder than everyone else in this white collar world, it is literally, it's worth a ton of money. Any thoughts on that, Michael?
I 100% agree. I was listening to a podcast from Barbara Corcoran, actually, and she mentioned something very similar. If you do take that work ethic, and you really are around those who may be there due to, background connections, etc., but then you work harder, anything's achievable. I guess it ties into the phrase of, is it hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard? It's slightly similar to that. And I absolutely love that phrase you just gave me. I'm going to steal it.
Use it all you want, man. And one thing I want to definitely steal from you is your humility, brother. I got to say, you're just a kind of a cool, laid back guy that just, you're just fascinating. Brother, if people wanted to reach out to you, find Farringdon and what you all are up to, where's the best place to connect with you online, or to really look at what you're doing, to learn from all your amazing experience? Is there a best place to reach you?
Yes, definitely. So for Farringdon Jets, if you are looking for charter quotes, just visit our website, which is Farringdon Jets. So that's FARRINGDON Jets with an S.com. And we're also on social media with just Farringdon Jets on all handles. If you're looking to reach me personally, you could reach out to me in LinkedIn, Michael Darko. So that's Darko, Darko, like Donnie Darko, easy to remember. And then I'm found on social media with the handle Mike_is_where. And that ties into me being in a lot of different places, as you mentioned earlier.
Truly a Renaissance man, brother. I got to say, you know, when you meet someone that goes all over, has lived these different places, you just have such a cool experience. And thank you for sharing it with us, man. Congrats on your success and continued success. And just thanks for being here, man. You're awesome.
Thank you, James. It's been a pleasure to be here, and your podcast is definitely inspiring. I've loved listening to the episodes. So it's truly an honor to be able to feature on one.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You guys, I mean, look, go save 9 hours. He just said it. Just take your hourly rate, multiply it by 9, see what that is. Then you look at the cost of the ticket versus your normal. I'm telling you, it's going to work out way better. And if you talk to people that have done this, they will agree with you. Your time is more valuable than anything that you have. Remember, your mindset matters. Share this with people. Let them hear about Michael of Farringdon Jets, everything that they're doing, because this might be a great tool for somebody else to use and discover something new. So until next time, remember, your mindset matters. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for listening. If this content is delivering value to you, please make sure to subscribe, rate, and review us. That helps us build this community, and that is what we are all about. Building this community as big as we can, helping as many people as we can, and deliver as much value as possible. Be sure to head over to letsgowinpodcast.com for information on my coaching courses, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Let's Go Win 365. Let's go win and transcend in life.
This is the Let's Go Win podcast with your host, J.M. Ryerson.